All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott, formerly of Rankin Technical College, and in my YouTube channel, JPS-Jeff Teaches Programming, which currently has about 80 videos on it, and one YouTube playlist, that is Jeff Teaches Programming-Python. That's what I've been attempting to do. We've kind of run the gamut, so to speak, on quote regular unquote Python programming using console apps. So now I've been doing some TKinter apps, some GUI apps. And really right now what I've got in here, we'll come to that in just a second. All right, but what I have in here are the following. I started by doing a couple payroll programs. This one was pretty simple. Then in this one I went in and I added some counters and accumulators, etc. Then we went in and redid the guessing game program. Then I redid the BMI program, and finally I did the calculator GUI 01 program. This calculator 02 I gleaned or stole from the internet, which is what I'm about to do with this TicTacToe program. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When I get done with that, I'm going to make one more, and that's going to be rock, paper, scissors GUI. And that'll be the last one that I'll do. So there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus that real simple one that I did earlier, which was just a hello world program. But I've already opened up, and in here I've created this, and there's not much in it. That's it. The program was gleaned from the following URL. All right, from realpython.com/TicTacToe. So what is that? That is this. Build a TicTacToe game with Python and TKinter. Let's add that. There we go. So that's a start. And what I'm going to do, kind of like I did before, is I'm going to grab some stuff in here and copy it. So, yeah, playing computer games with this project. It says you'll see, go through the thought process required to create your own game. And also it'll allow you to integrate some diverse program skills. All right, so what I like about this is this. So let's bring that in. And what it says here is in this tutorial, you'll learn how to 1. Program the classic TicTacToe game using Python. 2. Create the game's GUI, which of course means graphical user interface, using TKinter. And finally, 3, integrate the game's logic and GUI into a fully functional computer game. All right. So again, this is not mine. I'm not claiming it is. In fact, I'm showing you where I got it from. So I'm going to be, again, going over this one. Now, just so you're aware of it, if I go to the end of this article here, I think this was the article. I was looking at a few of them online. But I think if I go to the end of this article, they have, amongst other things here, make your first Python game, rock, paper, scissors. I didn't use theirs. Maybe theirs is better than mine. I don't know. I'm going to show you mine. Then we'll take a look maybe at theirs. All right. This is Pygame, which is, as it says, it's a step-by-step tutorial on how to use that. I'm not going to go through that. I'm not going to go through any of this stuff. This, I thought, I'd just been reading it. It's interesting. Build a TicTacToe game engine with an artificial intelligence player in Python. And it says that it even includes an unbeatable AI player. All right. But with that said, let's just jump back up to the top. So build a TicTacToe game, rather, with Python and TKinter. As it says, we'll be using the TKinter GUI framework. All right. We'll also use what's called the MVC pattern. MVC, stands for Model View Controller. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how they use that in here, because typically when I've used Model View Controller, I've used it, for example, in programs when I was teaching ASP.NET, which is, I wrote programs in C#, but they were meant to be run under a browser using ASP or Active Service Pages.NET. And the way we did Model View Controller is model basically held one or two different things. It held our database information, all right, or our business logic. View was what you showed the user, so it was the interface. And controller kind of bound those two things together. All right, so it says here, to download the entire source code for the project, click in the link in the box below. Well, I tried to click this link, and it just stuck there. I don't know if it eventually comes up where you're able to get it or not, but I'm going to try doing it without it. So, all right, so it says in this step-by-step project, you'll build a TicTacToe game in Python using TKinter. It says in the following demo video, you'll get a sense of how this works. All right. And I'm not sure where that video is, but we'll take a look in just a second. All right, so let's bring all this stuff up. So these are the 3 paragraphs. Which is going to look ugly as heck in here, but that's fine. Okay, so it says your TicTacToe game will have an interface that reproduces the classic 3x3 game board. Players will take turns making their moves on a shared device. The game display at the top will show the name of the player who basically gets to go next. If a player wins, the game display will show a winning message with that player's name, or mark X and O, and at the same time, it'll show the combination of winning cells on the board. All right, finally, as it says here, the game's file menu will have options to reset the game if you want to play again, or exit if you're done. All right, so let's just jump into this. Now it says this is your goal, etc. I'm not going to read this. All right, it says we will need to put together the following game components. All right, so let's grab those. So there's a lot of comments at the beginning, understand it. The reason I wanted to copy this and show you this is, as it says right here, the board will be built with a class, and that class will be called TicTacToe board. Then the logic will be built with another class that'll be called TicTacToe game. All right. Now it says the game board will work as a mix between view and controller. That's fine. And they're going to talk about, it says that the TKinter window will have these two components, top display to show the game status and a grid of cells. All right. So it goes through and it says what we're going to use in here. I don't want to put in any more than I've already put in. All right. So it says, again, you should be comfortable with TKinter, which was what we've been doing, object orientation for classes, which we've done in the past, for loops, which we've used, lists, which we've used. All right. Now it says here, MVC explained with Legos. So let's open that up and we'll go through that in a second. Dictionaries, which we've used. All right. And name tuple, which I don't think we've used, but let's look up at that. It says if you don't have all the suggestive knowledge, that's okay. You'll learn by doing, so go ahead and give it a whirl. Okay. So let's start. So this is Model View Controller in Python Web Apps explained with Legos. All right. This is going to have a bunch of stuff in here that we haven't gone over yet. So I'm going to keep that, but I am going to go over it, just not right now. And this is with name tuple. Let's just go in and start writing. Okay. All right. So it says to kick things off, you'll start by creating the game board. Before doing this, you need to decide how to organize your code. Because the project will be fairly small, you can keep all the code in a single .py file. This way, running the code and executing your game will be more forward. All right. It says go ahead and fire up your device, then create TicTacToe.py. All right, in your current working directory. Let's just follow their steps. So I'm going to change the name of my py file, which is right here. So I'm going to do a file save all. And let me close this, come over to here, and we will rename this TicTacToe.py. All right, so there it is. Again, I'm just following their lead here. Okay, looks like I missed one. There we go. All right. Throughout this tutorial, you'll be incrementally adding code to this file, so keep it open and near. If you want to get the entire code, you can click the following collapsible section and copy the code from it. So I guess that's it. Let's do this. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to copy it. Okay? Just trust me, if you would, please, for a minute here. All right, so there it is. But let's not put it in what we're doing. Let's come in here and create. We'll put in a main.py. And I'm going to paste all that in. And now let's do a file, save all, and let's run it to see. This is what we hope to be building when we're all finished. All right, ready. Notice there's a play again and an exit here. All right. Nobody, oh, I guess I did win. Player X1. All right, so file, play again. All right, ready. Now 01. Okay, I did that on purpose. And then we can exit. Now there's more stuff we can stick onto here, and maybe we will. All right, but you can see what we're building towards at least. All righty, so let's start. It says having the entire source code beforehand will allow you to check your progress. That's true. Alternatively, you can download the game source code from GitHub. I'm not going to do that, so I've already done this. All right, To complete this project, you use a standard Python installation. There's no need to create a virtual environment. The only package you'll need is TKinter. We already know how to use that. However, you need to make sure you have the right TKinter version installed. You should have a TKinter greater than or equal to 8.6. So you can start a Python interactive session and then check this. So let's see if we can do that. All right, I'm hoping it'll take it from here. We'll see. Yeah, of course not. Well, maybe we can do this then. Maybe we can do it from right here. Righty. Oops. I don't know if this is going to print out or not, but we'll find out right now. So let's get rid of that and run this. It did not show. I don't know if you can print this. .86. Okay, sounds good to me. And I'm going to put this as TK as I've been doing. All right, so let's get rid of this. All right, and we'll start. Once you have TKinter properly installed, you need to check its current version. Yep, we've already done that. Create a class to represent the game board. All right, to build the board of your TicTacToe game, we'll use the TK class. Then, as it said, we'll add a display on a top frame covering the rest of the main menu. It says go ahead and import the required objects. We've already imported this, so let's come in here and let's do this. All right. All right. So this is our class for our TicTacToe board. And what I'm going to do, just like I did earlier, is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to copy in their stuff. It says in this code snippet, we first import TKinter to bring in the name. As it says, that's common. I don't think I need to say that. All right. Then we'll import the font menu. We'll use that later to tweak the font of the game display. All right. The TicTacToe board inherits from TK, which makes it a full-fledged GUI window. The window will represent the game's board. Inside init, we first call the superclasses init to properly initialize the parent class. To do this, as it says, we use the super function. And that's what we did right there. All right. Let's get rid of this and start here. that's the first part. Okay, but we also have to do this. So again, what we're doing here is this is the equivalent of our constructor. So this is when we instantiate or create an instance of a tic-tac-toe board, this is what's going to be called. And the first thing in line 56, the line you see in blue, will be, it will call the parent's constructor. In other words, since this is a child of tk.tk, it'll call that constructor using the super init function. All right. Then next, we have to set the title and the cells. So the title defines the text to show in the Windows title bar. In this example, we set the title to Tic-Tac-Toe Game. Okay. All right, so we've got that done. And what's left? Well, what's left in here is this self.cells, all right, equal open and closed parens. All right, as it says, that's going to hold an empty dictionary. Okay? And basically, it's going to be a 3x3 grid that's going to hold the game board. All right? So let's grab that. Like I said, I'm putting this in there just so you can see another way people work on projects. And it's definitely not the same way that I do it. All right? All right, that was a lot of comments for not much code. All right, next. To continue with the game board, you need to create a display. You can provide information about the game state and result. For this, we'll use a frame widget as the display panel and a label widget to show the required information. So let's grab that. As it says, that'll be the board display. All right, so this is going to be our second. This, again, was the equivalent of our constructor. And this second one here is going to be our create board display. Now, one thing, let's do this. Let's bring this in. All right. Now, okay, it looks like it's okay right now with the way I've set this up. All right, so what are we doing in here? All right. Let's do this. Let's take the comments from here. So as it says, line 8, this first line here, creates a frame object to hold the game display. Note the master argument is set to self, which means the game's main window will be the parent. Okay, it won't be line 8 for us, of course, but that's okay. So that'll be line 77. Okay. So it's not line 77 anymore. I guess it's line 80. All right. Then next, the next line uses the geometry manager to place the frame object on the main window's top border. Okay. And again, it won't be that line, but that's okay. So it'll be something around like line 86, say 87. All right, so it is line 87. Good. All right, so you're going to have this thing commented up the wazoo. All right. Now, again, if this is a waste of your time, stop watching. All right. I believe you can learn as much from other people's code as you can from mine easily. All right, this is going to create the label object as it says, and then we're going to do the pack afterwards. So pack will be last, so this will be here. All right, so this is lines 97 to 101. We're going to go over all this, including the comments, when we get done, okay? Finally, here, we'll pack. Now, we cannot yet run it because we haven't put in all of the beginning code that we need, but it's getting there. So this is going to be line 105. Look at that. All right, so this is what we have so far. Again, not a lot of code, but we do have a lot of comments. Get rid of that. Cool, you already have the game display. Now you can create the grid of cells. A classic tic-tac-toe game has a 3x3 grid of cells. Here's the method that creates the grid of cells. Okay, so this will be the board grid. All right. So, as you can see, I'm going to put here a comment that says the constructor, technically I don't think they call it that in this language, called when a TicTacToe TicTacToe board object is created, also known as instantiated. All right, so that's what this one's doing. And then here we're creating the board display, which is again a comment up the wazoo. And then we're going to create the board grid. Okay. Alrighty. So this does a lot. Well, you'll notice that it sure does. All right. And once we get done with this, we'll be getting there. How's that? Okay, then that'll be main. All right, let's go down to here. And once we reach that point, we'll take a little break. All right. So we've already done this stuff, so we're down to here. All right, so they're saying here they're using line 10, which is the for loop. It says later we'll be able to change this number if we want. So you could have, for example, a 4x4 grid. All right, so this is line 120. That's going to start this for loop. As it says, it's going to iterate from 0 to 2, so 3 times. So this is going to build the grid. Everything that's inside of the for loop here will help to build the grid. All right. Oh, I guess I skipped these. We have to create the frame object and then use the pack geometry manager. We already put this in, but that's okay. All right, then with the pack, because we kind of did this up here. All right. Again, place this on the right spot in the frame. Okay. right, we got our for loop in here where we're actually doing the building, so to speak. And there it is. Then we have another loop. Again, as they say, if we want to, we could change this later. Why would you want to do that? Well, maybe you'd want to make a three-dimensional tic-tac-toe game or something like that. I don't know. Or, you know, something similar. I don't really know. All right. And what we're doing down here is we're putting these buttons in and we're formatting the buttons. Okay, they won't have any text on them. The size will be 36. They'll be bold, a black background, width of 3, height of 2. The background will be light blue, okay, etc. All right, I'm just going to copy that much. So this is, it says 14 to 22. It's 145 to 151. All right, so we've got all that. Guess it goes up to 152. All right, then we've got another thing down here. Line 23 adds every new button. Okay, just grab both of these. Don't worry, we'll fix that in just a moment. All right. So that's line 156. And this will be lines 160 to 166. All right. Now we've implemented the create board display and the create board grid. It says we can call them from the class initializer. Go ahead and add these two lines to init. which is bad just because of the fact what that's going to do is it's going to screw up all my other line numbers in there by 2. So we'll put that in there, that in the init. Like that. All right, now where it says 80, of course, it's 84. Where it says 87, it's now 91. Where it says 97 to 101, it is now 101 to 105. .105 is now 109. This is 118. This is 124. This is 132. This is 135 and 136. This is 142. This is 146 to 154. And let's see, this is 158. We're getting there. And this is 162 to 168. So what we're doing, we've got this class here. Let's go back up to the top. All right, we've got this class here, and this class is called TicTacToe board, and that's exactly what it is. So notice as it says, in the init method, we first call the superclasses init to initialize the parent class. We set the title to TicTacToe game. And then as it says, this cells right here, this thing, initially will be empty. Notice it says this will map the buttons or cells on the game board to their corresponding coordinates row and column on the grid. And that's what we're starting to do down here. We're creating the display, then we're creating the grid. To create the board display, which is right here, it says we need to create a display to provide information about the game state and result. So we use a frame widget for doing that. All right, and that's actually down here. Now notice what it says. The master argument is set to self, which means that everything is going to happen in the main window. We're not going to have, or this is going to happen in the main window. All right. Then down here, as it says, we use the geometry, the pack geometry manager to place this where we want it to go. By setting it to tk.x, as it says, we're ensured that if you resize the window, the frame will fill up the entire width, which is what we want. Next, in lines 101 to 105, as it says, we create a label object. Notice it originally says ready, which asks whether or not you're ready to play. All right, and once you start, of course, that goes away. All right, then down here, as it says, we display a label inside the frame using pack. So we pack what we've been working with. Finally, we've got this right here, which actually is going to generate our 3x3 grid of cells. All right, we talked about this before. All right, talked about this before. Now it says you'll change this later, which means you could. I'm going to say that you can change this later and provide a different number if that's what you want to do. This is setting up the configuration. Again, you can change. All right, but you can change the number later to provide more flexibility and get rid of magic numbers if that's indeed what you want to do. All right. Looking to make sure I haven't misspelled anything. So that's it so far. Now you'll notice in here we've also got sticky north, south, east, west, which is again going to make sure when we put this in sooner or later that as we expand this, if we maximize the size of our window, the whole thing will get maximized, for lack of better words. All right. So it says with these updates, you can almost run the app and see how it'll look. We need to write a few more lines of boilerplate code, and you should know by now what these are. Going to the end, and we're going to have to put in our main. All right. Where we set up the board, we tell it to run the main loop. So I'll put these in. And I'm going to put this at the bottom. All right, so there's main, and actually main is not part of this class, so I think it should be over here like it is. All right, and again, we can go in and add a couple comments in here. As it says, we first instantiate the TicTacToe board and then run its main loop by calling the main loop, as we've been doing pretty much all along here. Okay. And this, again, I'll just put that in there. But that's what we've been doing in a lot of our programs. The if main equals main is a common pattern in Python, as it says. Applications, it allows you to control the execution of the code. In this case, the call to main will only happen if you run Py as an executable program as opposed to an importable module, I should say. So let's do a file, save all. We don't have the logic in here yet to make this run. I mean, we can make it run, but it's not. That's just what it's going to do. What you see right here, if we did it right. All right. So it says it's starting to look like the real thing. You need to make this window respond now. So when we click one of these, it is actually going to do the X or the Y type of thing. All right. So that'll be step 2. So let's go back to here. Let's save everything that we've done thus far, and let's run it. There it is. Now, it's not operational yet, but we have set everything up. And as I said before, if we maximize this, I thought this would take up the whole thing. I'm wrong. All right. So that's it. That's what we've done so far. We've created the board, so to speak. All right. And since this is a fairly small program, they have put everything, the logic in the other class, in the same file. All right, so it says up to this point you put together a tic-tac-toe game using TicKinter, but there's no logic in the game. So as it says, the logic will consist of the code that processes a player's move and determines if this player won the game or not. So I'm going to go and add this. I'm going to go down to the bottom here, eventually. Put that in. So now, as it says, we need to think of how to work with the game's logic. All right, it says the logic will consist of code that processes the player's move and determines whether or not the game is over. And it's over if one of three things happens. It's over if X has got 3 in a row, up and down, side, across, either horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. Or if O has won the game with getting 3 across, either horizontally, vertically, or diagonally, or no one won. All right. It's a what you call a cat's game or a tie game. Okay. All right. So it says several ideas come to mind when you do this. First, you need a valid representation of the players and their moves. You also need a higher level class to represent the game itself. In this section, we'll define classes for the 3 logic concepts. Again, we can go, if we want to, and just bring in the code. All right. I am at 51 minutes. So what I'm going to do is, even though it's a little early, I'm going to stop right here in just a moment. And I'm going to pick it up right there on define classes for the players and their moves. Why? Because we're going to come in here. We're going to have a class called player and a class called move. All right. And then we'll need a class for the game logic. Now, this is small enough. I can do this right now. All right. But I want to put kind of talk about everything together. So we're going to do that. And then, as it says, we're going to have the game logic. All right. And it explains in here pretty much everything that we're doing. All right. And they have some constants, etc. in there. And now, we'll do that, and then we'll stop here with setting up an abstract game board. All right, you can see I'm not going to go into that. You can. You want to go and take a look at it. All right, but then finally we'll go into step 3 to process the player's moves of the game logic. And of course, as I already said, that'll tell who won, how they won, etc., and check for tie games. All right, and as it says, we'll also toggle between players. Finally, we'll process this on the board, and I believe at least that's it. Update the game board to reflect the game state. Okay, run it, see if it works. You can see they're giving some examples here. There's a tie game as example. Provide options to play to end the game. All right. And implementing the play again option. So this is all stuff we have yet to add. All right. So I will come back. Gone through this. And we are up to right here. Okay, so I'm going to just basically do the steps. And if we can do more than one step in an hour, then we'll do steps 2 and 3 next, and then end up with the last ones. Or we'll just do one at a time. All right, I'll be back shortly.